provide, all right, we provide intensive case management services here in the South Bay, including trying to connect folks to shelter, increasing their income, medical and mental health care, et cetera, et cetera. So, oh, trying to get to the next slide. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, so here's our schedule. Well, when we're in different cities, so anytime you need us to go out in your city, you can catch us on these days. It is flexible, and so we can make ourselves available if you need it. All right. Okay, our success story. We have Julie, who first worked with us back in 2022 and resumed with us in April 2023. She was issued a Redondo Beach voucher, but because of the limited ADA accessible units in Redondo, she had a hard time securing a unit. We were able to port her voucher to HACLA. Now she's been approved for an ADA accessible unit in Los Angeles, and we have submitted the FTA packet, and she's awaiting for HACLA approval, and then to move in. So we're excited about that. Okay, our next success story is Cheryl, who we met at the encampment at 101 in Irwin back in March 2022. She has a lot of health challenges, and is actually enrolled now into our Pathway Home program. And she's over here, she's doing great. She's been connected with a case manager, and she will eventually be referred to housing navigation. She's adjusting pretty good over here, so we're excited about that. Some community connections that we've had. We've had a few events at our office with our housing navigation team, trying to encourage people to roommate together and just providing other resources. We've also, the team went out to the night out in Lawndale. And then we worked really closely with the Pathway Home encampment resolution as well. So that's those pictures on the left, to the left. And then the pictures on the bottom and across the bottom are from our office, our event, our roommate mixer. So we partnered up with our SPA 7 team as well and have folks come out, try to connect them with a roommate. And we had our lease up people on site, and yeah, so we try to host those every now and then when we want to get some movement going with people on their caseloads to look into housing. And so we try to encourage roommate situations because we all know the housing market is very expensive. So all right, so in July and August, we did not receive any LA HOP requests, but we did get some referrals from Carson, Gardena, Torrance, Lawndale, and Lenox, and a few requests from Supervisor Hahn's office. And then the current caseload with our 2 team members, Anna doesn't hold a caseload. She has a light caseload, but the 2 team members have 51 people in total. So 25, one of them has about 26 on their caseloads. All right, here are outcomes thus far. We need to change that to 2022, 2023, but here are outcomes. And then our current efforts, other numbers, referred 8 people to Losses Interim Housing. And then, sorry, this. And then we've had some direct placements, and that's another way that we try to use people's income and our funding to try to get people right into like a SRO type of situation if people are open to it as well. So it's a snapshot of that. All right, and then some challenges that we have are low interim housing availability. We are still short-staffed, as everybody else is, and then low income housing affordability availability is lacking, and then ADA accessible units are also a challenge. So Any questions or concerns, or if you need to reach out, you can reach out to me or Anna. Email is the best way to contact us. So feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? I didn't see any hands. Okay, so we'll move on to, is it the Spa 8, Ronson?
Yeah, we got Ramon on. I don't know if Ramon, you have any stats for us on the shelters in Spa 8, which Sherry usually provides, but she's on leave right now.
I'm sorry, Ronson, if I may.
Yeah, hey, man.
Munoz?
Yes, I just wanted to publicly say thank you to both Anna and her team, Megan specifically. They've been super instrumental in the city of Carson and really helping get us help and assistance where needed. So shout out to your team, Anna and Courtney over at Path. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Okay, so did we actually have someone to speak on behalf of Sherry?
It doesn't seem like it, so I guess we can. Oh, hey, Ramon.
I can. Was that you, Ronson, calling me out?
Yeah. It's
Okay,
on
I
the
just
spot.
I was like thinking about, should I do this or not? Hi, I'm Ramon Rendon, the Beach Cities coordinator with Home Interface Services. I oversee the 4 beach cities: El Segundo, Manhattan, Hermosa, Redondo Beach, and I oversee the Redondo Beach Pallet Shelter. So you wanted an update on the pallet shelter?
Well, Sherry usually gives updates on all the shelters, but yeah, if you want to just give us an update on what you know in terms of the shelters, if it's just Redondo Beach, then that's fine too.
I mean, I know there's success stories out there. I don't have any at the top of my head because there's just different programs happening right now. But with the Redondo Beach Pallet Shelter, our longest stay resident has been housed at 456 West in San Pedro with the help of Ronson, just kind of giving me some encouragement there because I wasn't quite sure what we should do. So she is a 77-year-old senior citizen who is absolutely wonderful. Unfortunately, she has been homeless. We found her here at Border Torrance, Redondo Beach, and she's been here at the pallet shelter for 18 months. And she is now going to be housed at 456 West in San Pedro, which are beautiful, very state-of-the-art units. In a studio with her beautiful dog. And so that is the success here at the pallet shelter. And as of the last period of the pallet shelter, we've had 52 residents enter from July 2022 to 6/2023. 32 have exited. We've permanently housed 18, and unfortunately 12 have chosen to return to the streets. Out of those 52 residents, 3 are employed. We do have wraparound services here. Department of Health Services Mobile Clinic does assist.
What I think we're going to do. Are we muted?
They do assist us, and they also write off, verification of disability. They provide medical services, physical health services. We also have clear recovery out to the Redondo Beach Pallet Shelter to provide substance abuse counseling for residents. And recently have been approved to expand our pallet shelter to 45 units. So that's going to be a challenge, but exciting. And so with the Beach Cities, Everyday Myra Neal, and we do have 2 new outreach workers, Valerie and Dylan, who are doing exceptional work. They're constantly triaging people, getting them connected to mental health, housing, just setting the homeless individuals on the streets for success and to make transfer into housing as easy as possible. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ramon. It looks like Zoma has some updates from Torrance too.
Thank you, Ronson. This is Zulma with the City of Torrance. Some great news on the 3290 temporary housing village. We do have some updated numbers on people that have been permanently housed. I will give you the old update, which was shared with council back in April, because mayor and council will be sharing the newest numbers in his State of the Union speech, which is coming up. So we want to keep that, those numbers until he makes them public. But so far, 17 individuals have been permanently housed. Just last week, there was an influence of clients being permanently housed for 5. And I think everybody met. Our new outreach worker, Norma, is currently working with Valerie with providing street outreach. They both have housed at least 8 individuals that have not entered 3290, but have been receiving street outreach and do have or are experiencing vehicular homelessness. So they go from living in their vehicle to permanent housing. So they are the ones doing the great work here in the city of Torrance. And Bronson, I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Great. And then I think that's it in terms of shelter updates. We just heard that the safe parking site in Torrance also has availability. Just an FYI for everyone.
So I believe we have Oni Williams. Is that correct, Ronson?
Yeah. One is going to be sharing very exciting news from the county. Super excited about this update. The county did a wonderful job in cleaning up one of our largest encampments in the South Bay, the 101 in Irwin encampment, about, I don't know, it's about like a month now, right? Or yeah, August 9th was the date. And it was a great joint effort from the county CEO's office, LASA, our partners at St. Margaret Center, PATH, and a whole bunch of others. So I don't want to steal any more of One's thunder, but wanted to just give a thank you, and you guys should definitely hear what they have to say about the Pathway Homes program.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, so good afternoon. Thank you for having me. One Williams with the County of Los Angeles Homeless Initiative team. Again, it's good to be here and talk about the new program, successful launch in SPA 8. I'm sharing right now. Can you guys see the screen or the actual website?
Yes.
Yes, your screen's
Okay.
up.
Cool, awesome. It's showing the Pathway Home, right? I'm not a Zoom user normally. Is it showing the Pathway Home website?
Yes, latest news.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so again, just good to be here. Just as part of our response to the county's state of emergency to resolve encampments in partnership with local jurisdictions. Again, our Pathway Home program has launched. We've already had 2 successful operations, both in Supervisory District 2. The first operation was in the unincorporated area of Lenox and the city of Inglewood, bringing in 50 people into motel-based interim housing. And the second one was RV focused, bringing in 58 people into motel. And so in addition to the 108 people we've already brought in, sorry, somebody's on mute, or somebody's not on mute. If you can mute yourself, that'd be great. I don't know if you have
Those that are not on mute, please mute yourselves.
Okay, bye.
I'm not sure if somebody's controlling that, but I'll continue. So in addition to the 108 people we've already brought in from the street to interim housing, we've also removed 48 recreational vehicles from the streets during these operations. Here, what you'll see is a web page where we share detailed, comprehensive information on latest news. We're also keeping a data dashboard. Part of our accountability is not only in the name Pathway Home. We deliberately named it Pathway Home because it wasn't just about bringing somebody into interim sheltering, but really to find permanent housing and wraparound services. And so again, we wanted to have that accountability. As part of the accountability too, we're going to keep, again, a data dashboard of the resolutions that we do perform, the number of individuals we do put on a pathway to permanent housing, how many recreational vehicles have been removed. And then as time moves on, we will be having other data points, such as how many people have moved to permanent housing, and then connection to services. So I'll put this link in the chat and you guys can take a look at it. Really goes over again what Pathway Home is, how we utilize a multi-pronged approach to bringing people indoors, and then how we go with selecting encampment resolution sites. But now let's talk a little bit about the Lenox and Inglewood one. And again, I see some familiar faces. I see Madeline, I see some of our path partners, Courtney. So again, this brings great joy and smile to my face because we worked for countless weeks, months to be able to launch this. And I'll go over, I think it's important to share with this group a little bit more about what this is and what it takes. But before I share that, I'd like to actually just share a video with you that's kind of self-explanatory. And again, just take this moment, even if you've seen it, just to share it with this particular group. And real quick, can you guys hear the audio on that?
No.
Shoot. Uh-oh. Okay, I'll share it, but I don't know how to share the audio. Let's try this real quick.
It should be when you share it on did you click the share sound selector? Like if you stop and then share again, there's like at the bottom of the share screen has the two options: share video, optimize for video, and then share sound.
Got it. Thank you, Ronson.
One of the main priority areas with the emergency declaration is encampment resolution. And in Los Angeles County, our program is called Pathway Home. And today is the first day of Pathway Home. Today we are here at this encampment in the unincorporated area of Lenox and near the city of Inglewood.
This is something special. Today we're going to be moving over 50 people indoors on a pathway to their own permanent housing.
LASA's role is to work with everyone in the encampment and have them move out of their tents into a motel that's local.
I got emotional, the folks got emotional because actually doing something for the homeless folks.
There will be on-site services. There will be food provided for everybody, case management services, connection to any health, mental health, substance use services that they need, as well as getting them any benefits that they're eligible for to make sure like they have Medi-Cal for health care or CalFresh benefits or general relief benefits. A very important part of what we're going to do today, as well as we bring people inside, is make sure that they have any documents that they need that will help them get permanent housing.
So yeah, I left everything except for clothing and paperwork and medicine.
That's all you're bringing with you.
I have congested heart failure, so getting out of here is saving my life.
Really important to go the next step in outreach, which is not only are we reaching out and inspiring people to accept services, but we're also saying we have something in hand that you need. Housing today, someplace safe for you to live, take a shower, and settle in to a new life path, and also a hope that they will then move into permanent housing. And I think that's what really gets people, is it's not just about moving today into a motel, but it's the long-term plan of moving them into permanent housing. That's the game changer.
All right, so thank you for that. I just want to follow that up with one more quick video because part of the Pathway Home program isn't just moving folks from the street to interim housing. It's really providing a robust suite of services. And part of that service package that we do offer is what we call an enhanced service connection date. And that's where we bring together multiple county departments, multiple partners, such as DHS for primary, specialized, other physical health care services, enrollment to Social Security, SSI, SSDI, behavioral health services, outpatient mental health treatment, substance use disorder, general relief, CalFresh, Medi-Cal. So all those things happen on an enhanced service connection date. And I just want to play a little bit something about that. This is 2 weeks after the event and how that service can
residents of the 2nd District that are part of the LA County Pathway Home program. And we're really excited because this is the next step for somebody who was unhoused, living in an encampment, really getting the services and what they need to be connected to permanent housing, to be sustained, because this is about people saying yes to housing and keeping their housing and being on that pathway home.
Ladies and gentlemen, where we're walking to is my room. All right. Hello, my name is Rochelle Latrice Barbano, and I'm with the Path. The people are housing me here, and they're nice people, and then I just want to give you a tour of my room. This is my restroom. As you can see, I like to take baths and stuff like that. Whenever I can, I'm happy. I'm glad I'd be able to take a bath. And we have my bed, my table, so that I can write with. And we have a nice tour of nice scenery of the outside, ladies and gentlemen.
The fact that they can just walk downstairs and get what they need and then go back upstairs is going to be the new norm. So people can get easy access to what they need so they can move on to their housing. You don't have an address, let's get you an address. You don't remember your social security, we have it here. Is it overwhelming? If there are too many people, we can walk you through it. So the one-stop shop is not only easy access, but it's also individualized for what these residents need.
God bless us, you know what I mean? I'm just happy for everybody, you know what I'm saying? And you know, this is the perfect thing for all of us.
All right, so thank you for that. So again, just wanted to share some of those videos, let them speak for themselves. And then what I do want to kind of go over is just a little bit about what Pathway Home is, some of the planning process, how it works, who's involved. One of the things, again, I just want to share just deep appreciation for Haley, Courtney, St. Margaret Center, Jonathan, Madeline, again, just seeing you on this screen right now is bringing back a lot, because a lot of investment is taken, given actually, not just from a resource standpoint, but from a time and effort standpoint. And those that are in this service sector, really know the amount of energy that is spent to be able to do something like this. And so who else is involved in some type of operation like this? For this particular one, we did have Inglewood, Hawthorne, the Lenox community, the city of LA. We also had Path for interim base housing as a service provider, permanent housing subsidies. We had St. Margaret Center, Mental Health America, Harbor Interfaith was involved, St. Joseph Center for the RV dispositions, LASA, the Sheriff's Host Team, Public Works, DMH, County CEO, DHS. This is also Caltrans was heavily involved. So again, it's a lot of coordination to be able to pull one of these off. And so let me just go over here. Again, what is this? What is this Pathway Home? Thanks for showing those videos, but what is it? And so again, it's a new housing intervention that really leverages the state of emergency powers to pull together scarce resources to really make an impact, partnering with local jurisdictions in their community. And so we've done 2 of them. We're looking to expand that to other cities, other jurisdictions, other communities throughout the county. We're building up our capacity. Actually, sitting next to me is my new colleague here. I don't want to change the video right now, but we have another colleague, Kaylee Caruso, who's on board as part of our municipal relations team. We have Kim Barnett, former member of LASA, who's part of our local jurisdiction coordination team, and a couple of other members. So we went from 3 people to now we have 7. But the goal of it is we're really trying to expand this program throughout the county, throughout all jurisdictions, so that we bring something like this to your community. With this particular one, again, some of the planning took a little bit of time for this particular one because we put a lot of county machinery in place, the contracting, funding agreement formats, the motel agreements, the service provider agreements. But at the end of the day, We targeted this area here that was on Century and La Cienega, again, in between unincorporated Lenox and the city of Inglewood. And some of the areas was on also Caltrans property. Our priorities, again, were to voluntarily relocate about 58 people experiencing homelessness, leverage the trusted outreach relationships that we had with St. Margaret's Center, LASA, the host team, the home team, Harbor Interfaith, and other agencies, and really optimize the services and safety net supports of those individuals so that they can qualify and benefit from county, state, and federal benefits. Provide a housing focused support to individuals so that they can transition from interim housing to permanent housing within about 120 days. And then mitigate returns to unsheltered homelessness and repopulation of the encampment sites. We had folks out there just last week, and that site is still cleared of debris from, major debris as it was. And then obviously minimize the likelihood of displacement from subsequent public infrastructure projects. So again, at this particular location, Caltrans was going to do a project, understanding that we were bringing a resource to house folks and come with that credible offer with wraparound services. They end up rescheduling that to work with us and coordinate this opportunity. Our objectives for this particular encampment and all encampments is, of course, like ensuring that there's safety for the participants as well as stakeholders. We proceed with a trauma-informed approach that minimizes the need for criminalization of homelessness. So we don't necessarily just lead with law enforcement, we lead with outreach. And we've relocated, again, 50 people from the by name list. So this isn't just like, hey, can anybody come up? This isn't like an open forum where people can just get dropped off, or it's really targeting an area that is a priority and hotspot to a community. I'll share this out with you just so that you all have. And again, how we do this, we also use some of our emergency management experience. We've partnered with our Office of Emergency Management, and we do use a unified command structure and a unity of effort so that everybody knows what role they play, and again, have clarity in everybody's roles so that we can each deliver within our own capacity and what we control, and so that the balls move forward so that we have a successful event. So I'll stop sharing now. And let me see. How do I stop sharing, Ronson?
There's a stop sharing.
Stop sharing. Stop sharing. Thank you. I'm a Teams user, so I'll stop sharing. Again, I just want to share my deep appreciation from all our team. We all share our deep appreciation for everybody that was involved. I see Cinder on the screen right now, and Cinder was very involved leading up to this. Roberto Chavez, the day of, and so it was amazing just to feel that love and support. And I think Cinder said a comment that really relished with all of us, and it was, she hasn't seen something like this in the time she's worked in her community, where there's been such a support of services that come out to help her community. And so that left a real kind of just stain on my heart. And again, I just want to share my deep appreciation with all of you.
Well, hey, just a quick question. I had some questions texted to me. What's the next location? I know you did the RV one recently. What's next on the list?
Yeah, so we work with communities to plan these out. And when we engage with those particular communities, so there's a process we go through, a selection process. We do maintain a database of all encampments across LA County. And again, on our website goes a little bit through that selection process. From there, we provide a list to the Board of Supervisors of possibly, based on assessments from our experts in the field, of possibly the top ones that we recommend, and then also they provide input into that as well. Then we start reaching out to that local jurisdiction to be able to, again, talk with them about bringing this program to their community and how we can partner and collaborate together to actually make it happen. And so we don't have them listed out as for various reasons. One is we want to protect the privacy and civil liberties of those individuals in these encampments, because really that's what who we're trying to address and who the program is for. And so we've seen through other interventions like this, where if you announce these things in advance, you may have people on one side who are like the NIMBY crowd and, oh no, we don't want this here, even though it's going to help their community. Or you may have people who are advocates who misunderstand what the program is and say, oh, we just don't want you to displace, because again, past encampment protocols or cleanups or sweeps have happened that particular way. So we do hold fidelity to that. And then once we identify a community, we work with that community in advance in the planning process.
Great. Any other questions for One before we move on to St. Margaret Center's kind of experience with Pathway Home? Okay, if not, then thank you, One.
I see Cinder's hands up, I think.
Oh, okay. Cinder.
Cinder, you're muted.
Or we can't hear you. No, still no audio from you, Cinder. If you have a question, you want to put it in the chat. Maybe something's up with your mic.
Lori's got a question also.
Okay, Cinder muted herself. Maybe she'll get back to us. Hey, Lori.
Hi, Ronson. Hi, everyone. I was there the day of the RV pilot encampment, and it was absolutely amazing how many people were there. It was an incredible effort. But one thing that One I don't think mentioned that I wanted to mention is they had the proper sewage removal there. So removing sewage from the RVs before they move them and properly disposing of them, because the problem they've had with these RV encampments is groups going around saying, charging the tenants to have sewage removed, and then they were depositing it into the Dominguez Channel and polluting our waters. So the DMV was there also, looking at different municipal codes and how they can manage this. So from all angles, that was a very successful day. But this is really important beyond the humanitarian efforts, is that we're looking at the environmental and sanitation. So seeing the proper sewage removal, I just wanted to mention that, One. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Lori. It was great seeing you there.
Okay. Cinder, you want to try again, or you want to just come back? Sorry. Okay. Sounds like
I can speak for Cinder if you like. It's Jonathan from St. Margaret Center, and I'm sure Cinder would love to say thank you, One and Carter and the county team, because you guys were all huge in getting this all to happen. So and thanks from me too, and St. Margaret's. I hope you'll enjoy our little local perspective and advocacy piece coming up next.
All right. Well, with that being said, well, yeah, thanks again, One, for the leadership that the CEO's office has shown on this. It's amazing, and yeah, kudos to you and your team. This is wonderful. But yeah, Jonathan, let's hear it from for you guys. I know, like, so for those that you don't know, St. Margaret Center, they've actually been triaging this population for a while now. And one of their employees, Madeline, who we work with really closely on client aid, even before she took the job at St. Margaret Center, she was volunteering at this location. So this was the project long time coming. And man, when I was there and saw Madeline that day, she had a grin from ear to ear. It was like the happiest day of her life. And so I just wanted to invite her out, come speak with you all, and share her thoughts and feelings about the operation. And Jonathan, do you want to introduce her? Sorry, I don't want me to steal her thunder.
Hey, yeah, she's gonna have her own thunder. Go for it, guys. And Mary Agnes is here as well. She's our center director. I'm sure all of you guys know her.
Hey, let's go ahead and share the screen of a presentation Madeline prepared. Madeline?
Hi, yes. I am gonna try to not talk everybody's ear off. Thank you so much for oh, Cinder's microphone's working.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, she's on mute again.
Thanks everybody for the kind words. I am unexpectedly, I thought I was like over feeling really emotional because of this project, but everybody's words and seeing those videos got me back in my feelings in a good way. Thank you to Ronson and South Bay COG for inviting myself and St. Margaret's to share our perspective. As Ronson mentioned, I have a super unique relationship with the residents at this intersection, these encampments. I started going there in August of 2020, connected with certain like mutual aid groups and things like that. I started bringing out waters, which evolved into bringing out sandwiches, which evolved into all kinds of things. I was able to meet a bunch of other really amazing people who also had personal investments in this community, other people who make meals, who drop off supplies. In the first video that One shared, there was a gentleman, Dale. He's one of he and his church group would make food on weekends. And yeah, so I sort of came from that world and was somewhat recruited by Jonathan and St. Margaret's, and have been lucky to work with the team over there since April of last year. And yeah, we are located very, very close. St. Margaret's is located super close geographically to this encampment. My colleague Richard has been working with people there for the 4 years that he's been there. So this was a big deal for us. And I've been really lucky in my time at St. Margaret's that Mary Agnes and Jonathan and everyone has been really sort of receptive to and encouraging of me kind of combining the more like traditional homeless service outreach world with the sort of mutual aid and community care world that I'm coming from. So yeah, I'll try not to repeat too much stuff they've already heard. Can I see the next slide, please? So when we talk about community supports for this area, again, supply distribution, hot food, hot meals, home cooked meals. If you're used to, living in your tent and you eat McDonald's a lot and stuff, like what you're really wanting is you're wanting home cooked meals. I would make sandwiches. I would toast the bread in my toaster. Of course, these are not things that we have time to do in our very busy homeless service jobs. But it really kind of comes from a place of, what do you need, right? How do we connect with people? Because what do you need? Not, hey, I have these couple things to offer you. I have DMV vouchers. I have a LASA meal, no disrespect to the LASA meals. But kind of we talk a lot about meeting people where they're at. And I think that, so that's something that mutual aid and community supports really bring to the table. And I think I'm really lucky that I get to combine these kind of perspectives and that people support my crazy ideas. So yeah, if we can go to the next slide, that's kind of, this is a bummer picture. This is from one of the days that there was a sweep, I believe last year. But so sort of the more traditional like homeless services interactions with this area have been harm reduction, which of course is great. Regular joint outreach, which would be not just St. Margaret's Center, not just LASA, but also groups like MHALA and PATH would come out so again, I started about 16 months ago. That joint outreach has been going on in this encampment since that time, and way before that. That's just when I came on. So the joint outreach was pretty regular there, but there were some drawbacks because sometimes the residents would get kind of frustrated with these joint outreaches because they felt like, hey, you know, you're just coming here every week and nothing's really happening for us. Of course, we knew at a certain point, we knew that something is actually we're working on something, but we couldn't really explain it for various reasons. So that was kind of the push and pull for a lot of us outreach workers out there, was how do we be present for people without invading their space, right? Because this is where people live. This is where people are, you know, living their lives in whatever that means for them. And, you know, oftentimes also there is a lot of law enforcement, and with good reason. This has been a traditionally like kind of a dangerous place, right? And we have to put safety first. But at the same time, the presence of law enforcement, especially when it's a large number, can feel really oppressive to some of the people there. So kind of like threading that needle is something that we're always trying to do in a way that feels safe, but also respectful. And then of course, there have been a lot of sweeps in this area where all the stuff is moved out and people are told to go somewhere else. But that hasn't really been effective in actually keeping people out of this area, right? So we'll go to the next slide.
Yeah, I'm just curious, sorry to interrupt, but like knowing the dangers of that encampment, like how did you go about just ensuring your security when you would just go out there as like just a volunteer or even early on?
That is a great question.
He didn't.
Yeah, being an idiot is the main answer to that question. Ignorance was bliss when I started going out there, and it's not necessarily after a while of going out there, I knew that I had the kind of people had my back, but that's not really like I can't like tell other outreach workers just like assume they'll have your back, because obviously so it was a wake-up call when I got to St. Margaret's, and it was kind of like everyone thinks you're crazy for doing the stuff you do. And when there have been periods where things got, let's say, hotter there, like when there were incidents and stuff, I would dial it back and, you know, always be smart about, you know, sunlight and not going under the bridge by myself, and knowing who I can say, hey, can you walk down there with me? Like that's a resident that, but I don't have a great answer for that one, unfortunately. I think that there's middle ground, right? There's more middle ground than we're exploring in terms of having law enforcement present for outreach, but maybe less present, still present, but less present. Does that helpful at all? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely did seem like you had built a rapport with the folks there. So kudos to you, you know, in terms of building that relationship.
There was a couple older ladies when I first arrived, one of whom unfortunately has passed, who one of the first days I was there, they pulled me aside and they were like, hey, if anybody messes with you, come get us, because we're the old ladies and everybody listens to us. So yeah, but I've been lucky. And again, I also think, like Jonathan says in the chat, relationships are everything. I think that it does go a long way to approach from a place of mutual respect, and a place of we're on the same level here, as opposed to thinking of yourself as sort of like this benevolent person that's just choosing to visit those less fortunate than you, which is anyway. So this is all to say that in the lead up to the project, we were approached by the county. We were really excited. We were super excited. We're a small team. We were somewhat limited by our capacity. Like in terms of how we could help. But I think in the outreach stage, we were really able to work super closely with LAHSA and super closely with the county to do things like work on the by name list, figure out who's a resident, even certain little things like figuring out what kind of relationships different residents had with each other, especially there's a couple of, this person doesn't get along with this person, or maybe this person's been violent to this person, or these people are in a relationship, but maybe it's not so good of a relationship, so let's keep them separated, and just kind of working with this on the ground information that can again be difficult to get from sort of typical traditional outreach. So, and I'll return to kind of like alternatives to traditional outreach in a minute. If we can get the next slide.
If I may interject really quickly, to Madeline's credit, and God keep her humble, that by name list literally is a list of names of people who are confirmed for this resource at the time, and Madeline, each of those names have a point of contact, and Madeline just happened to be like the outreach worker on probably 80% of that list. So it really is about those relationships and providing insight into clients' lives and what resources they need or would be willing to connect with based on a therapeutic relationship like that. So I got to put it in.
And that's trust is super important to me with these clients. And even when I started at St. Margaret's, that was one of my primary concerns. Was I've really built up rapport with these folks, and I don't want to lose it because I suddenly am in this different position. And I think with almost everyone, we've avoided that, which is a testament to how this kind of dual approach can work. So yeah, to that end, on these days of the outreach, most of the residents were really receptive. We didn't have a ton of time to do outreach ahead of the day. So we didn't get to have as many conversations of like, this is really happening and here's what you should be doing to get prepared for it. But we did what we could in that time. And luckily, because of, honestly, in big part because of the like attractiveness of the offer of, it's going to be a motel, you get your own room, you have your own bathroom, that goes a long way for folks in terms of keeping them receptive to this kind of stuff. So about 80%, that's a guesstimate number, moved in on the first day. Everyone from the largest encampment, except there was only one resident from the largest area that stayed that first night. And then we had everyone else moved on the second day. A couple of issues that happened. There were a few people who were not present at the encampment on the days of the outreach. Again, potentially having more lead up time would have helped there. But there were a couple of people who, even though they were on the list, they weren't present at the encampment on those 2 days. And so unfortunately, for the most part, those people have not been able to access the resource as of right now. We didn't have too many issues with people's belongings and not wanting to give up their belongings. What was more of an issue was the RVs. Generally, a lot of the folks who had RVs there have invested a lot of money into them, either the initial buy of them or up. And
man, I hate this dumb thing.
So we had some issues. If you can go back to the next slide, Ronson. Yeah. Oh, no, next one, last. Yeah. Sorry, can you go back? The one that says outreach days, yeah. So the outreach days, so the RVs we had some issues with because it's a tough ask for folks to give up something that they've spent that much money on. One of the only folks who did not end up saying yes to the resource was someone who was in an RV and chose to stay in the RV. And then I would say that the only other issue was some members of the Sheriff's Department. Folks from the Sheriff's Department were really, really lovely and really worked with outreach workers and worked with the residents to kind of get to a place of saying yes. But there were a couple of times when I would say that law enforcement led the conversation rather than outreach. There was probably equal numbers of law enforcement and outreach on the ground, but sometimes just wires would get crossed. And unfortunately, some of those conversations didn't go as well as they could have. But ultimately, everyone who experienced any kind of issue like that still accepted the resource, still got in. So all's well that ends well on that. And if we can go to the next slide. So 51 people were moved into the motel, around 30 pets. This encampment was a huge breeding ground for cats and kittens. So almost everyone had a cat of some sort, and all of the cats are now housed as well. So that was about a month ago that all of this happened. There's only been one exit from the program since then. And I really want to give a shout out to Courtney and Kim and the rest of the team at PATH, who's running the day-to-day operations at the motel, because I think they have a really fantastic understanding of trauma-informed care and how to, let people kind of blow off steam or use language that feels appropriate to them, but might not feel appropriate to all of us. And to just kind of really, again, like meeting people where they're at. So I really have to give a shout out to PATH for that. The fact that there's only been one exit is a huge testament to how this has gone down. And one more thing, there was a storm. If you remember, it was supposed to be a hurricane, kind of didn't quite turn out that way. But this is an area that floods so badly on rain. I've been out there many times with tarps and sandbags and all crazy stuff. And I did not have to do that on the hurricane day. And that was fantastic. So that was like a kind of immediate pat on the back for me. And then if we can go to the next slide. So I think, first of all, that's one of the many kittens that that is now housed in the corner there, and he was missing for most of the day. So I think there's a few different reasons why this project a lot of reasons why this project went so well. Obviously the county, I can't say enough about their fantastic job. I think that part of the reason that this went so well and that clients were so happy to accept the resource was because this has been a location that has been underserved by resources like Pathway Home, obviously Inside Safe because this is county. These kind of areas that like the folks there have known for a long time that there are resources that exist that they're not getting. There's been, I think 3 or 4 people got housed with vouchers, with EHB vouchers. Almost no one got into Project Roomkeep, just this kind of crapshoot of location and geographic area and jurisdictions and all of this stuff. So partially these people were really waiting for a project like this for a long time. So it was great to be able to give it to them. The importance of viable alternatives to traditional shelter, right? Like how many times have all of these folks been asked if they wanted to go into shelter? And how many times have they gone into shelter? And how many times have they been successful in shelter versus having something where they have a little bit of privacy and a little bit of autonomy and a little bit of dignity. A lot of the folks in this community are what we call traditionally as service resistant, right? So they might not be receptive to outreach. They might not be receptive to getting rides to the DMV, things like that. But they were receptive to this. And is it because of the community that they've built there? Is it because of these relationships that outreach has built with them? Is it because we just changed the ask, right? Like if they're not accepting this thing that we ask them every week, why don't we ask them something different? So I think that, there's a lot of reasons that people are service resistant, probably as many as there are people who are service resistant. So kind of, I keep saying this, but meeting people where they're at, it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. And then, using this community engagement, like I've talked about in mutual aid, in talking to other people who are doing this work at this location, at similar locations, keeping everybody in this community engaged in these kind of projects. Like we had Dale that makes meals there that day. We had my friend Sophie who makes meals. She was out of town the week of the outreach and she made 100 breakfast burritos and then she sent them in an Uber to St. Margaret's and I kept them in my fridge and my husband warmed them up in the morning. Like we're all part of this plan and we're all part of working together on this. And, you know, like one of the slides said, these are our neighbors. These are the people that live down the street from us, even if they don't have a house. And so, you know, what we're really hoping to do is keep this community engagement. PATH is happy to work with us on that, which again is fantastic. And yeah, that's that's all I got. Thank you everyone for listening to me ramble on. And if you couldn't tell, I'm really excited about this project and I am super thankful to everybody who helped make it happen. And that's it.
Great. Thank you, Madeline. That's amazing. And thanks, St. Margaret Center, Mary Agnes, Jonathan. You guys are awesome every day. And also our super volunteer, Nancy Wilcox, was out there too. Haley, you know, I see that you're on, Haley. I haven't seen you in forever. I'm so glad you're here. Did you want to say anything? I saw you in the video.
I am thankful to be a part of this. It was a great few days. Madeline's relationship with everybody actually really did help us. It's not an easy thing to open these large facilities, and I think the county asked us to do it in like 2 weeks. And so it was a lot of us going back and forth and trying to figure it out. But you know, Madeline said that one person left, he was in need of much higher level of service. And so although it was sad that we had an exit, I'm really hoping that it ends up positive. And so far it's just making things work. It is about accommodation and individualizing services, and PATH is just really proud to be a part of this.
And you know, we've had a great turnout today for the task force, and so you know, everyone seems like they're very interested in hearing about this and knowing the success of the program. So thank you again, One, Madeline. Any other questions for the panel before we move on to the next agenda item? Okay, great. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's awesome work you guys are doing. So I really appreciate it.
Bronson, I did have a question.
This
is Paige from Paige Kolegjevic from Redondo Beach. I wanted to ask, how are you advertising the success of these programs throughout the community? And I mean, these are their neighbors that you're helping, and how are you letting everyone know that that's what's happening?
I could take that. So I think a few different ways of how we're kind of, I want to say advertising, but communicating, right? One, so everybody on this particular call, as well as I attend the COG circuit, San Gabriel Valley COG, Las Virgenes, Gateway. And so again, what we're doing is really messaging the success, really messaging the program. It's all funded by Measure H dollars. And again, we're just kind of the ones here organizing and orchestrating, but really it's a lot of the members out in the community and a lot of our service providers that are really doing the work, and we're just organizing the resources in a very targeted way. What we've also done is, again, created a website, which I shared in the link. We're putting out FAQs, a fact sheet. As Haley had mentioned, you know, we were doing things like up to literally not only 2 weeks, but the day before. I don't think I've put in as much work around the clock within that, and then rolling into the tropical storm. But we were literally flying the plane, building it, writing the actual manual to put all of those kind of mechanics and machinery in place. And again, we now, in addition to that, have some communications that we're actually sending out. So I think there's a lot of communications that have been developed. And again, I can share those links with you all so you can be a force multiplier and amplify those messages within your communities.
Yeah, that's a great question, council member. And the COG will also be sharing on our social media. If we haven't already, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know I've been talking to our communication director as well.
Okay.
Oni, can you guys hear me? Oni?
Yes.
Go ahead, Cinder.
Hi. Hi, I guess you can see me. I just really want to say thank you to everybody too. This has been a long time coming and you guys did a magnificent job. I mean, it was something that I've never seen before, as you said. I've been in this homeless thing for 13 years when you guys first started doing Measure H, working with a lot of people. And so this was amazing. Madeline, thank you so much for coming into St. Margaret's, and Jonathan and everybody over at Path and Lhasa. You guys did an amazing job. It's beautiful. I drive by there every day. I get in tears because it was just something that I've never seen. And I live in the county, and so you guys helped out with the RVs, and that's something that I have to deal with when I come home. So I want to say a double thank because I don't see it when I come home anymore. We got a little bit more to go, but you guys did a great job for the sheriff's department. I love you guys. I mean, these are people that I contact every day, not just in my area where I work, but where I live. And we have a report over here too, St. Joseph Center, Dr. Adams, and everybody did a great job. And if you guys don't know, a lot of those people came from Manchester Square, and went around during Manchester Square, you wouldn't understand it. But those who were around, you would know that those people have been over there for 5 years or so during the transition for LAWA. So you guys, I can't say enough. It worked out perfectly. Oni, you guys, thank you for letting us be a part, although it wasn't in Inglewood, but we do appreciate you guys, and thank you again.
Team effort. Again, I'm just a face right here in this camera, but even with the county, there's just a lot of other people. I mean, Carter Hughley, our CEO real estate team, so many people. Camilla, who's on this call, working 9 a day for weeks and months to actually make this happen. And again, now that we've have it launched, we're looking to ramp up and again, really bring capacity so that we can continue these efforts throughout the county. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on because we're running a little bit late and we want to give LA Care Homeless Housing enough time to make their presentation. So I believe Diana Zendejas is here.
Yeah, and before we hand it over, I just want to tee this up a little bit. Housing navigation is the ultimate goal, right? We want to get people housed, and housing navigation resources are very, how do I say it? Like they're being concentrated in people that are already in shelter, so that they can increase the shelter placement into housing. And so housing navigation resources are very hard to come by. But this next presentation is super important because we want people in our area to start accessing housing navigation systems through the insurance providers. This is a brand new type of resource that's available, and that's why I'm very excited that LA Care is here to present. Just to let you know, LA Care represents 30 to 40% of the entire homeless population of LA County. It's huge. Their member base has a huge representation in homelessness, and so I'm really glad that they're here and they can share this important resource with you all.
Hi everybody, thank you Ronson for that great introduction. Let me try sharing my screen.
Hey Diana, you also muted yourself. I'm not sure if you know.
Thank you.
You're still muted.
Sorry, I have like all these screens going on at one time. Thank you. As Ronson mentioned, I'm from LA Care. I'm here with my coworker Shannon, and we'll be presenting on our program, Homeless and Housing Support Services. We call it HSS for short. Let me figure this out for a little bit.
Diana, if you're having technical issues, I'm also happy to pull it up on my screen to see if it will work. I don't know if it
Yes.
froze. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let me do that. Okay. Almost there. Thank you all for the patience. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and so just to get a little more background, so even if you have case managers, our case managers are sometimes loaded with a 20 to 30 person caseload, and so where this could help is provide additional case management in the form of housing navigation for those case managers. So it could act also as a supplement to whatever you're already doing to getting your people housed.
All right. Can everyone see the screen okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So I think Diana is going to start us off. So I'll hand it back over to Diana.
Thank you, Shannon, so much. So again, as mentioned, we're from LA Care. Our program is Homeless and Housing Support Services. We call it HSS for short. And presenting will be myself and Shannon. Unfortunately, Jessica cannot make it. And can you go to the next slide? So so I'm the Housing and Homeless Incentive Program liaison. So I'm hoping to make any connections. Folks can reach out if any issues with like LA Care and your members arise, please let me know. And then I'll hand it over to Shannon to present on the community supports and housing navigation.
Great. Thanks, Diana. Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Koitzer. I am a program manager with LA Care. And I work within our housing suite of services. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys about community supports. So what are community supports? I know that we kind of hear this in the context of housing services, but we now have a really specific bucket of community supports with DHCS through the State Department of Health Services and an initiative called CalAIM, which stands for California Advancing and Innovating Medi-Cal. This is a newer program. We've been live for about a little over 18 months now, and we're really, really excited to have these services attached to our benefits and our health plans to serve our members. So within our community supports, we specifically are delivering housing navigation and tenancy sustaining services. We do have those as separate services. And as you know, for housing navigation, that service is going to entail helping our members find housing. And then for tenancy sustaining services, this is more directed at helping members maintain their housing and teach them life skills, etc. And again, our homeless and housing support services, those are a bundled service, and it includes housing navigation and tenancy sustaining services. So as we go through the presentation, we'll say HHSS, and we're referring to housing navigation and tenancy. Great. So length of service. So for housing navigation, right now, our service term is 12 months that a member can be receiving the services. And then we're exploring extensions because we know that sometimes members need a little bit longer and it's just not feasible. So right now we do have a 6-month extension with housing navigation if it's needed. So it can be up to a total of 18 months, but we will say that it's 12 months of services, and also the same thing for tenancy. Right now the service term is 12 months with a possibility of an extension. Great. And then just to highlight a few things for housing navigation services. I'm not going to read all of the boxes on the screen, but just wanted to pick out a few that we are currently able to help our members with. So one of those things, the biggest thing I think is just helping members find the housing and everything that comes along with that. So that can be helping members get the related documentation that they need, connecting with landlords, helping members find vouchers and rental subsidies, identifying if they need housing deposits, and then just supporting them through that whole process of finding housing. And then we also, all of our providers will do individualized housing support plans and care management plans for our members as they go through their housing journey. Okay. So eligibility. So LA Care is a managed care plan, also MCP for short, if you hear us say that. So our eligibility is only for LA Care members. And so we have two buckets of criteria that they'll need to fit into in order to be eligible for the services. So on the homeless criteria side, on that, the most left square, I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with the HUD definition of homelessness. So we need members to meet that definition, or they can be exiting an institution like a jail, hospital, or SNF. And then also we will accept members who have who meet the HUD definition of chronic homeless. And so they have to have one of those homeless criteria and meet a high utilizer, high acuity criteria. So this can be member is eligible and enrolled in ECM. And ECM is enhanced care management. That might be a presentation for another day, but that is another service that we have. And then also members will have to have 2 or more chronic conditions, or the member is a high utilizer. And then we have that definition here for you all. So that includes 7 or more emergency department visits, and a 12-month period, 2 or more inpatient visits, and a short-term skilled nursing facility, or that prior 12 months, or they have a total healthcare cost of at least $50,000 in a 12-month period. So that is our eligibility. And then in our orange box, we have if a member is matched to publicly funded permanent supportive housing programs and resources in LA County, and then that one is more so for our DHS contracted providers. So that is our eligibility for housing navigation. And then I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Diana, and then she's going to talk about tenancy sustaining services and then also review the referral form.
Yeah, so for tenancy services, we call it TSS. The main focus is housing retention, creating individualized housing support plans, assisting members with any disputes with landlords or neighbors, and always training on budgeting. It's very similar to like ICMS services, intensive case management. So that's what tenancy services is, and it is for folks that are housed. Next slide. So the eligibility is very similar to the housing navigation. Members that were in housing navigation, they can transfer to tenancy services once they obtain their permanent housing. The only difference is like they have to meet the HUD definition of homelessness, but been housed for less than 6 months, having exited an institution and being, unhoused for less than 6 months. And then for folks that are chronically homeless, they have to been housed for less than 2 years. And the high acuity criteria is exactly the same as housing navigation. And for the orange box, again, it will be for folks that are in housing, permanent housing. Next slide. Okay, so LA Care does have an exclusion criteria. So this is for folks that would not be appropriate to be referred to HSS. For example, folks that cannot live independently, if they need like a higher level of care or skilled nursing, unfortunately, our services would not be appropriate for them. We also check to see if folks are not receiving duplicate services like housing navigation or tenancy services from other programs. If they are, unfortunately, we cannot move forward with that referral. The member also has, the right to decline the service if they decide, once they're contacted that they don't want to continue, that is okay. And then for tenancy services, it is a once in a lifetime opportunity or program for members. They get their 12 months, and if it's an extension, then there's 18 months. And at the moment, there is no extensions after those 18 months. And then all our LA Care members qualify for the exception of plan partners like Kaiser, Anthem, or Blue Shield. Do recommend that folks that have that insurance to contact, their provider. Sometimes they do have other housing opportunities. Next slide. Okay, so this is a referral process. You will complete the referral, submit it. Then within 5 days, you'll receive either an approval, denial, or request for more information. And the team is really responsive with these, which is something that I do appreciate, because you do get a response like within 5 days. You get you submit the referral, you get information right away telling you that it's been like a confirmation email that it's been received. After that, LA Care will match the member to an HSS provider. The LA Care member will be assigned to the provider, and then once the provider has the member assigned to them, within 5 business days, they will reach out. Once they make contact, the HSS provider will go over like any intake and make sure that the member is opting in for HSS services. Next slide. Okay, and then the next 3 slides are going to be going over the referral form. So you will have to make a decision if the member that you are referring is either going for housing navigation, tenancy services, the referral source information. That will be all your information. That will be the date that you're making this referral, your name, the organization that you're from. For external referral, if you feel like you do not meet any of those boxes, like if you're not an ACM provider, homeless provider, a hospital, you can always click other and just put if you're like from a church or like a food bank. That's totally okay. At the bottom, under for refer individual to complete, this is a very important little box to check off, which is a member consent. If and this is just certifying that you talk to the member, let them know that you're going to be making this referral for HSS. And if this box is not checked, it will keep the referral from being processed. We will send it back and ask you to please, check it off. In the bottom section is just if, the member is receiving housing navigation or tenancy services somewhere else, and now it changed because of the health plan. If that does not apply, just click no, and you leave everything else blank. And then we'll go to the second page. So the second page, this is where the member's information goes in. Sometimes folks get confused with the referral source information, but here, member, that would be the LA Care member information. If you have their medical SIN number or client ID, it's great to add it in here. It makes it easier for us to search that person. If you don't have that, please put in their name as it legally shows, like on their ID, and their date of birth. Also, they have a portion for their gender. If folks have changed their name, sometimes they haven't changed their name with LA Care, so they might show up under something else. So just please add that somewhere under the first name. If they go by Jane Doe and now it's Joe Doe, then just make that little annotation so that we can confirm that it's the same person and not slow down the process. The middle section, member housing status information. Again, if you're applying for housing navigation services, you just click off one of the boxes under that section, under the red sentence. If you're asking for tenancy services, then you will click one box under it. Sometimes folks are asking for housing navigation, and then they start checking off boxes and tenancy services. And then, we have to reach out and get any confirmation, which delays the referral. For current location, if they're in interim housing, if they're in a shelter and their vehicle, please jot that down. And again, we are using like HUD definition of homelessness. So sometimes folks will put other and put couch surfing. And unfortunately, according to HUD, that is not considered homeless. So just confirm with the member what their living situation is. And definitely check off on a spa so the member can be connected to the correct spa, to a provider in the correct spa. Next slide. And then this is the final page for it. So here, if they're connected to like a voucher, you can click yes. If not, you leave that blank. And then the very important question is the member able to live independently? So that's the one that can possibly, that will have the referral denied if they're not able to live independently. And if you have the CHAMP ID, add that on there, HMIS ID, add that on. It makes it a lot easier for us to be able to search the member. And if you feel like any need to add any other additional comments, there's like a little box. And then under member health information, so again, as we went over the criteria, for both housing navigation and tenancy, the member does need to have 2 or more chronic illnesses. And I do want to note that like alcohol use order and other substance use disorder are on there. So if it does apply, please, check off. I know sometimes folks may not consider SUD a disorder, but it is. So please click off those if they apply to the member, or if there's something in here that's not added on, you can use the box at the bottom to add any information. And then it gives you information, it's asking for ER visits, inpatient. It's okay if you don't know that information. You can just click unknown and we'll check for it. But if you know that the member has been, in the hospital this amount of times, just add it on there. Sometimes our system isn't just up to date, so that helps out a lot. So that's all for our presentation. We're gonna open it up to any questions if folks have any. And then we're gonna have a slide that has our contact information. It has the referral, the emails where you can send any questions for like referrals. If you have any question regarding those, definitely you can reach out, or if something pops up, any other questions that we don't address or later comes up, you can send them there.
Great. Questions?
Okay. I see one in the chat from Jonathan, and we'll keep this Q&A kind of short because I know that it sounds like we have some other presentations. So I see Jonathan said, why is HUD homeless definition used if MC is funding? That is a really good question. And that actually was provided to us by DHCS as part of our eligibility. So that is where it comes from, Jonathan, is it's a state eligibility that we have to abide by. Let me check the any other
Well,
things.
can you stop sharing? And then we can just see if there's any other questions. Great. I did have a question too, is I guess Jonathan's asking about HealthNet eligibility, if they're using the same. They probably are, right? Because it's all under the same state program.
For the most part, some health plans will have slightly different eligibility, but for the most part, they should be the same. And again, if you are serving members, and if they have HealthNet or Blue Shield or Anthem, they all will have their own programs as well. So just wanted to flag that for you all. If you encounter someone who has a different health plan. So there are other opportunities.
Yeah, and just to let everyone know, we're also talking to the other health plans. Scan Health, for example, presented to us a few months ago. So we have their contact information, and we're also talking with HealthNet and some of these other providers. One question, one of the things that we constantly get are like families, right? Especially single mothers. We've been getting quite a lot of that coming through our door. And the problem there is that our family system there's a waiting list to even talk to like a case manager. And so we've been telling people, hey, don't wait on that waiting list. Definitely put yourself on that waiting list, but go ahead and call, HealthNet, LA Care, whoever the healthcare provider is, and try to get a housing navigation referral. Is that the way to go, you think? Is that the right way?
Yeah, that's definitely a really good question as far as that referral process. I think Diana also just put a link to the referral form in the chat. So you guys are definitely more than welcome to fill those out, send them to us. They can call us. They can also send over an email as well, but usually a referral form is going to have to be completed regardless to process that authorization, because it'll kind of be packaged together as that referral form will be part of their authorization, which is why we want to make sure that the referral form is correct. But yeah, I definitely encourage that starting point to be that referral form, and then we'll go from there.
Great.
Yeah.
Kathy Hetzer has a question. Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, so here's my question. I'm a case manager and I'm out in the field and I come up on somebody for the first time and I'm talking to them and they have major stuff going on that I'm looking at, and I figure out that they have care insurance. So, okay, now, as a case manager who's working through the HMIS system, typically we would try and connect them to services. Would we then fill out this form and send you to be their primary case managers, or do we and hand them over to you, or do we maintain case management or coordinate?
That is a really, really great question. Oh no. Kathy, you froze a little bit. Was that the end of your question? Just that if, okay, great. Yeah, so once you guys send in that referral, we have a network of providers that we will assign that member to. And so they will go to whichever provider A, and provider A will provide housing navigation services for them. And then they might connect with you and say, hey, Kathy, I saw that you're working with this member. Just want to get some more background. So that will more so be the extent of that relationship. But it is essentially, you'll be handing over that person into our program. But obviously, you're more than welcome to still connect with them if you have a rapport with them, and kind of doing that warm handoff. So that will be what it will look like for that process. And then you'll also, when you send that referral in, if you put your contact information there, you will get that response as well. And then you'll be able to see who they are assigned to for the provider, and have that contact information as well. So you'll all be able to connect.
Okay, sounds like a plan. I just wanted to try and figure out the actual process here of what to do, so that we're all on the same page and we're not duplicating efforts, but we're all going in the same direction or enhancing each other.
Definitely. Yeah, we appreciate that. And if there's any questions on the referral form, please feel free to go ahead and reach out and email us. And just if it's the first time you guys are doing it, we're more than happy to help you guys complete those, and then review them and say, okay, yeah, this is a great referral. You did it correctly. And then we can move on from there to process the member into our system. But yeah, it'll be, if members are connected to another type of housing navigation service, part of our eligibility criteria is that they currently aren't receiving housing navigation or tenancy services. So they would be denied for services if that is like on the referral form that they're receiving services, because it would be duplicative. So just wanted to also flag that for everyone as well. Great.
Okay. So Ronson, do you think we can get their contact information into the chat? So if there are questions that haven't been asked or answered, they can make contact?
Yeah, and we'll also be sharing their slides after the meeting as well. So be on the lookout next week for an email from us on the presentation and contact information.
Okay, and you know what, I don't mind going over a little bit today, because a lot of this information is it's too valuable not to hear it. So I really do thank the Pathway and the LA Care for sharing this information today. But we are going to move on to Ronson for homeless services.
Great, thanks, Councilmember Tanaka. No, I just have the pleasure today of just introducing a whole bunch of people that are kind of new to the area, new to the team. One is they've been patiently waiting, but we have some new faith-based leadership here in our region. I wanted to introduce Cliff Gardner, who is leading LASA's faith-based initiative for Spot 8. Cliff, do you want to introduce yourself and kind of let us know what you'll be doing?
Hello, everyone. Can you everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So once again, my name is Cliff Gardner, and again, I am the faith-based coordinator for Spot 8. My job, I would say primarily, is to connect faith-based organizations with community-based resources. Also, more specifically, to help the faith-based organizations understand and utilize the coordinated entry system, and to find resources for faith-based organization. Like this presentation from LA Care is a great example of the type of resource that I would share with the local church, local faith-based organization. So as I reach out to different churches, I'm finding like a wide range of different things that they're offering, anything from meal sack lunches, food pantries, showers, to full services that include shelter beds and helping individuals find permanent housing. So the church, especially the small and medium-sized ones, really want to do more to help the community, because individuals that are experiencing homelessness are visiting the churches a lot, and the church wants resources, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to help connect them. My background includes working as a housing navigator. I worked in an emergency shelter as an activities coordinator and case manager, and I also worked as a outreach coordinator. So I'm really eager to do this work. I'm really happy to do this work, and the churches, they need these resources, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to help, and I would appreciate everyone's support.
Great, thank you, Cliff. And then we also have Grace Weltman with us. She is consulting for the county and also helping LASA oversee the faith-based program. Grace, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of letting us know what you'll be doing?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I recognize a lot of folks, and then hello to everybody I don't know. So my name is Grace Weltman. I'm with Communities in Motion, and I know Tana's here listening. She works with me. So to give you context about this work, in 2018, supervisors Hilda Solis and Holly Mitchell introduced a motion that resulted in the development of an effort to understand how we can better engage the faith community throughout LA County. So Communities in Motion, who I represent, was hired to conduct a survey that was completed last year. And where we are right now is this survey resulted in, we had under about 300 faith-based organizations who completed the survey. Within the South Bay and Spot 8, we probably had about 38 of faith organizations that completed the survey, with the hope of understanding what is it that faith is already doing in terms of homelessness, and what is it that they would like to do to expand or deepen their work or contributions to homelessness. So the results are in. I will share that with Ronson. I know that maybe at another meeting I can present that. It was sponsored by the Faith Collaborative to End Homelessness, who represent various faith leaders across the county, who also initiated this effort throughout LA County. It resulted in 5 strategic recommendations, 4 of which we're beginning to implement, which includes expanding funding and contracting opportunities for the faith community, looking at ways in which we can improve the way we communicate with the faith community in the county. So hence Cliff's work in helping coordinate those resources are really key. Looking at policy areas, and the other area that we're continuing to work on is how to better expand what we're doing in terms of involving the faith community. So my role is to help move these initiatives forward, representing the LA County Homeless Initiative, who actually has been funding the work that I'm doing, as well as the work of the faith coordinators, where there is one in every region throughout LA County, and they're housed in the CES system. So one thing that we are working on in the South Bay, and Ronson, you know, Nancy Wilcox, we are working with her. We are going to be holding a capacity building workshop for the faith community in February. We're in the planning stages of it, but we do still want, particularly the cities, to connect with us so we can better engage the faith-based organizations or churches in your area. And again, we have that data, but we would love to connect more. So I don't know if there are questions. I just wanted to keep it brief, given all the time constraints we might have right now.
Yeah, anyone have any questions for Grace or Cliff? While you might be thinking of questions, I do want to say, Grace and Cliff, we actually have reached out to the faith-based community through our home share program. We were trying to advertise our home sharing program to our local churches. And so I'd love to share that resource with you as well. We're about to use that kind of list to advertise the winter shelter program that we're looking to set up. And I guess that's a great segue for me to share that. Last year we had horrible storms in last winter, and we had two people perish on our streets due to the elements. And so we set up some motels using our Measure H funding, and thank you to the county for helping us with that. But we were able to move a dozen people off the streets during the storms. The motels are great for like a kind of a stopgap measure. The problems with motels are they're expensive, and we can't provide a lot of services within those motels. And so what we're looking to do is looking for partners to set up more site-based shelter program in the South Bay. And so we're one of the groups we were looking to reach out to our churches in our area to see if they'd be interested in and lending their facility as a winter shelter program. And so we're looking for spaces that are 6,000 square feet or larger. Dates are from November 1st to March 31st. And there's two options. You can be a general winter shelter, or you can be a weather activated shelter. So if you want more details, feel free to reach out to me. I can connect people with LASA and then the county partner who's doing it, which is Ashley O, who's helping with that.
Yeah, Ronson, sorry, what I was going to say, this is great. We do have about 4 or 5 faith-based partners that are interested in expanding in the shelter and housing space right now. And I believe they're in the northern part of SPA 8. So
Right.
I'd be willing to collaborate with you and Cliff to get the word out, or even meet with some of those folks. I did do site visits for 2 of them. I don't know how ready they would be, but I know that they're willing. So that's what we have found. We have faith partners that are interested in it, but they are at various levels in terms of capacity. But I think that might be a great start.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah, let's definitely connect offline. That's awesome. You have 5 or 6. That's great. Hey, anyone else with any questions?
Hey, just jumping in really quick. Yeah, please, if they are in the northern hub or northern area of SPA 8, including Hawthorne, Inglewood, Rondale, Gardena, please keep St. Margaret's in the loop for CES access. So we're kind of the access center there, and it's interim especially winter shelter interim housing has various levels of being able to connect people into the CES beyond just the interim housing piece. And so we would be able to help people move through that and beyond the interim housing.
And Jonathan, I was going to reach out to Mary Agnes, but I'll leave my email out, my email in the chat so that we can connect as well, making
Sweet.
sure we're coordinated, because maybe one of them may know about CES, but I'm not sure if they're really that familiar.
Yeah, sure. Blessings.
Bronson, did you want to do a homeless update, count update?
I'm going to skip that today since we're running short on time. Unless someone has any homeless count questions. If not, I'd like to also make three more important. Sorry. Okay, Alex had a suggestion. Thanks, Councilmember Montero. We will reach out to them. Hawthorne Lawndale Ministerial Association. Never write that down. No, I just wanted to also introduce.
Bronson.
Yes.
Bronson, before
Hey,
you go, I know you sent an email while I was on vacation about the armory. So I will go and reach out to them. Okay, great. Thanks, Cinder. No, I'm just excited to also announce that we have 3 new team members with us today. The first is Kathy Hetzer, and you've probably heard her ask some questions already. And many of you probably already know her. She used to work for Harbor Interfaith. She was a long-time Adult Protective Services case manager there, has a long history in housing navigation. And she actually retired in June, but we use her so much, I wasn't willing to let her go. And so she is now helping us out with client aid and senior services. So I want to welcome Kathy to the team. And then, Kathy, if you can just put your contact information in the chat. If you have any client aid questions, Kathy is the person to go to for that. Next, we have Keenan Leary, who's also joining us. And Keenan's coming, he is just graduating with a master's degree from UCLA in public policy. Is that right, Keenan?
Social welfare, very
Social
similar.
welfare, sorry. Yeah. But he's we talk about policy a lot, so maybe that's why I have that in my head. But yeah, so Keenan is going to be helping us creating a housing database here in the South Bay and helping our case managers locate housing resources. Our vacancy rates are really low in the South Bay. They're under 2% in some areas. And so Keenan is going to scour the region for housing. And that could mean the private housing market, PSH sites, affordable housing set-asides, maybe even ADUs. But yeah, he's gonna try to help get our case managers, some housing resources that they desperately need. So Keenan, feel free to share your contact information as well in the chat. And last but not least, we have Jan Parsons. She is going to be helping me with our various programs that we're going to be setting up, and also some of our existing programs through the Innovation Fund and Local Jurisdiction Fund. Jan is coming to us. She actually used to work with Lauren Ramey in our region at Mental Health America, Los Angeles, and so she has a lot of good experience there. She most recently worked on a 24/7 alternative crisis response program in San Diego. So really looking forward to accessing her program knowledge to help me stand up some important programs that we'll be introducing in the next couple of months. And so I'd like to welcome Jan Parsons to the team. And Jan, also you can go ahead and put in your contact information there. So those are my updates.
Ronson, that's really good that you're reinforcing your team because we know how hard you work by yourself. So to have a team now really does enhance our services. So welcome to our team, guys. And Ronson's a great leader, so hang on to him and just push him real hard. Okay. Thanks, Ronson. We're going to do legislative updates. I think I saw Janet Turner with Representative Blue, and I think I also...
Hey, Councilman,
go ahead.
Can we have Jackie go before?
Sure. No, that's fine.
Like a hard out at 5.
No, that's fine. Jackie,
Sorry.
go ahead. South Bay.
I just have a couple of brief announcements, and this has been an incredible meeting filled with a lot of great information and a lot of kudos to the people involved. Very inspiring. I wanted to first of all say that we have delighted that we've hired up the 3 people that we have, but we do have an opening still. for a regional planner for transportation and land use. So although it's not in everybody's wheelhouse, if you know of anybody that you would think would be interested in being involved in our Council of Governments and our programs, please let me know, and I can send you the job descriptions on our website. Also, we're very, very excited that our 20th anniversary of our South Bay Environmental Services Center is now. We started in 2003 with energy efficiency, and we're going to be celebrating at 4:30 on September 28th before our board meeting. We'd love to have you come over and just hear us all pat ourselves on the back for all the work we've done in the last 20 years on environmental services. So we're very excited about that. And by the way, if you're interested in a rain barrel, we're starting our rain barrel distribution again. The last thing I wanted to mention is that we are, as you probably remember, we have a housing trust that was created in legislation last year. It still is not activated in any way, but what we're doing is we're having a special forum. Board doesn't even know about this yet, but probably on October 26th, before our board meeting, we're going to be having at least one member from the San Gabriel Valley and Gateway Trusts come and talk to us about lessons they've learned from their housing trust. So we're starting to figure out how we're going to create it and activate it and get some good ideas from others. So that's all I've got today. And thank you so much for all the work you all do.
Thanks, Jackie. Okay. With that being said, now I think we can go into our legislative updates. So I believe Janet Turner's here and Eric Ponce is here. So whichever one, just jump in.
With Congressman Ted Lieu, always fabulous seminars to offer each time. Great speakers and lots of really good information. I have a little bit of good news I wanted to make sure I shared. On September 1st, we received a notice that HHS has funded $999,911 to the city of Hermosa Beach. This is for a mobile crisis response pilot program, evidence-based model for mental health and behavior-related calls involving the city's unhoused, utilizing professional case managers. So very happy that we were able to help facilitate. Congressman Lieu was able to help through community project funding to help this address some of the homeless issue. That was it for now. Thanks.
Thanks, Janet. Make sure you tell the Congress we thank him for all his efforts in the South Bay. We appreciate that. Eric?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the speakers for that great information. I just wanted to provide a few updates. The main one being AB 67, which is the homeless court pilot program bill that the Assembly member introduced. As of today, it is being held in Senate Appropriations Committee. Next up, I did want to provide or let the community know of some events coming up in October. On October 7, which is a Saturday, the Assembly member will be hosting a community town hall in the city of Gardena at the Nagaoka Community Center. The Assembly member will also be hosting a Lomita Community Town Hall in the city of Lomita on Saturday, October 14th. And lastly, the Assembly member will also be hosting a natural disaster town hall in conjunction with the Prepared Peninsula Expo on Sunday, October 22nd. And I will go ahead and share the link for more information on all of these events. So I will share it on the chat. And that is all the updates I have for today.
Oh, thank you, Eric. We appreciate that. Okay, any other electeds? Okay, any announcements? Okay, well, guess what? We're right on time. So I thank everybody for your participation. This was really a great informative meeting today. So Ronson, keep it up. We're doing good. And mark your calendars for 1 November. that will be our next meeting. And with that, we stand adjourned. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ronnie.